Today on the Chat and Chew Show.
Months after that, we were engaged. A year after.
Stop. So you met at a conference. You went on a date at the conference. You say 3 weeks later you said I love you?
Yeah, it was.
So Bobby, wait a minute, brother.
That's not my style.
It's the last week in February, and we're still chatting about love. We're talking dating stories, finding and keeping the one, and what makes someone right for you. Well, today you are in for a treat. In this episode of the Chat and Chew Show, we sit down once again with life and business coach, speaker, and trainer Daphne Valcin. And we are joined by her husband, Bobby Valcin, who specializes in real estate and financial literacy, leading his family in paying off over $15,000 in student loan debt within 9 months. They'll share with us how they met while traveling and managed a long-distance relationship, as well as how they keep the flame burning in their now 6-year marriage. We'll also find out what changed when they had their 2 beautiful daughters. We enjoyed every minute of this very candid and enlightening conversation. Get ready, Chat Tribe, for this episode on Loving for Keeps.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Chat and Chew Show. My name is Betty.
And I'm Roxanne.
And we are super thrilled. Like we said, I got to get another word. And you have joined us. I say this a lot, that there are millions literally of YouTube shows out there, and that you clicked on the Chat and Chew Show. We cannot be more excited. Today is going to be a really, really good show. So please hang on. But this show is designed to empower you to do your relationships better. And if you think about this, all of us are in a relationship. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do in life, where you go, you're going to encounter another human being, hopefully. And we want you to do that relationship really, really well. And so this show was put together so that we can give you some tips and tricks and tools and even things to think about to help your relationships be better. This month, we've been talking about the love month because it's February while we're recording this. So this month we've been interviewing couples and just hearing their story, their love stories, and we've been getting some really good advice on how to make love last. And so today is no exception. So hang on, today's show is going to be fantastic.
All right, so welcome back. As Betty mentioned, we have a great show for you today. We are here with Daphne and Bobby. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yay.
Glad to be here.
How are you?
Doing well.
Doing well.
Nice.
Been a good day so far.
Nice. So Daphne was with us before, and she was awesome, as we were talking about before the show started. And so, Bobby, you have to come with your A game today.
See what I can do.
So let's jump right in. How did you all meet? Who made the first move?
Well, my wife tells the story best usually, but
Sure.
I can add little comments in here and there.
Sure. So we were at a training for an organization, and I'm gonna take it 2 weeks back, 3 weeks before that, and say I was at a weekend workshop where I was facilitating at this workshop, and someone on my team said, "I just want to tell you that the man that you've been praying to God for is on the way." I think she said your husband is on the way. And I was like, okay, thank you so much. Because I didn't know what she was talking about. And I wasn't praying for a husband, but at least not that I knew of. But 3 weeks later, I met Bobby at a training. And I was at a point in my life where I was on like a break from dating because it just took too much work. So I at the training saw Bobby, and Bobby was on the stage, and I knew that he was doing work in Florida. That's where I was from. I was living in Virginia, and he was doing really good work with youth. So I decided, well, something told me to go up to him after he was on this panel talking about the work that he did with at-risk youth, and to just let him know that he was doing a good job. And again, I was on break from dating. So I wasn't thinking like, oh my gosh, he's also a guy and you never know. And I was just like, I need to go and tell him that he's doing good work. So I went up to him and I was like, hey, and basically told him that he was doing really good work. And he said that something at that moment told him to pursue me, which I didn't know. I didn't have knowledge of that at the time. And basically throughout the conference, I was like, does he think I'm cool or does he like me? Because he kept being where I was at the conference that had 600 people. He would be in my workshops. And one day when we were all going out on the town, he came up to my group and was like, hey, you know, my group's not going. Is it okay if I go with you and my new boss and my new colleagues? Okay, if I go with you guys out on the town? And it basically ended up being like a date because my boss was talking to my new coworker and Bobby and I were talking and we did dinner and we walked on the town and all this kind of stuff. 3 weeks later, we were dating. After we talked every day for hours and hours and hours, we exchanged information, we were Skyping. 3 weeks later, we were dating and we said, I love you. 4 months after that, we were engaged. A year after.
Stop.
Oh my God.
So you met at a conference. You went on a date at the conference.
Kind of.
Did you say 3 weeks later you said I love you?
Yeah, it was.
So Bobby, wait a minute, brother.
Yeah, that's not my style usually.
So what were you thinking? I mean, when she came up to you.
So when she came up to me and said what she said, I just thought it was really great that she said that. And then I don't know, you know, I just, like she said, you know, I felt compelled to start pursuing her. You know, I at that point, I never felt that way before, you know, about anybody really. And it was just a new experience for me. So I did follow her, you know, it was bordering on stalking. It was bordering on that. So I kind of made myself around, you know, put myself around her as much as I could. And I actually wanted to ask her to marry me after like 2 weeks, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to scare her though.
Wow.
I thought I would scare her away if I did that, so I waited. Yeah. So yeah, it was just, you know, I can't. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
I know it's, you know, it's kind of sounds very like love story romantic-ish, but it doesn't always work out. People don't always get married following that same line, but that's how it was with us.
This, when you were telling your story, part of the story, it always makes me think of ladies who are in a relationship with a guy and they're always wondering, does he love me? Does he want me? And that. I am a firm believer, because I've been hearing this a lot. When a guy likes you, loves you, you don't have to guess. They make it known. It's like, it's not this like, I don't know where we at, you know, kind of thing. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. So you said, I love you. So what happened after that?
Then, it was 4 months after we met that we were engaged. Still long distance now, because we both flew to Dallas, Texas for this training. I from Virginia, he from Florida. And then we flew back to where it is that we live. 3 weeks after that, I just happened to be in Georgia for a wedding. And then Bobby had a real estate property in Georgia. So that's how we were able to meet and tell each other that we loved each other and start dating officially. Then we went back. So we were dating long distance. He proposed to me 4 months after we met. A year after we met, we were married. So, and we saw each other once a month. Sometimes we didn't, I think, even see each other for that month in person. So I moved to Lake Worth, Florida, just, I think it was 2 weeks before I got married. And I lived with somebody from the church, from Bobby's church. Mm-hmm. And then the first time we lived together was after our honeymoon. Wow. That's the first time we were officially like together all the time. And then we've been getting to know each other ever since. And that was 6.5 years ago, basically.
Okay. Wow.
So I have to ask, because I feel like people, especially dating, it's all these trust issues of, well, if he's far away, I don't know what he's doing down there and all that kind of stuff. So how did you, for both of you, honestly, because I can't say that men don't think of that either. How did you build that trust for each other with that distance in between you?
Yeah, I think trust is something, it doesn't happen immediately, that kind of grows over time. And, truth be told, when you have the love bug and all that, you don't think about that as much. At least I didn't anyway. It's just like one of those things, like you're just in love and, all of that gushy stuff. But I would say over time, that's something that develops. And it plays a role in really just all aspects of your marriage. Like when we first got married, I struggled with jealousy issues, right? For example, and I would, get jealous about little, like really dumb things. And, that is a matter of trust. It wasn't that Daphne did anything that would make me not trust her. It was just a personal issue I was dealing with. But that trust that I had for her over time eliminated that issue. So the jealousy, went away, after a period of time. So that's what I would say as far as that goes.
And I would say that the way that that jealousy looked when we first got married was like, it might have just been like a little look, or like why didn't you call me when you were at the party? And I was like, oh, because I didn't know I was supposed to call you, because we just got married and I didn't know that kind of stuff. So I was like that. So I didn't even know it was like a big jealousy, because I've seen like big aggressive jealousy in the past when dating. But I think that so that definitely developed. And I would say on my end, so a week into us knowing each other before we even started dating, Bobby was like, can we do Bible study together in the mornings? So we were doing Bible study together. And then I think the next day he was like, can we also read devotionals? So we were reading devotionals and doing Bible study. And then the first time we talked on the phone, and I would say the majority, much of the time we were dating, we used to talk for 4 or 5 hours. So I think until we were saying like, we can't get anything done. So we need to not do that. But that's why I was an old guy. But what happened during that time, when you get to talk to someone so much and you're long distance, that's all you could do is talk. Then you get to know someone, in my opinion, more deeply and quicker, depending on what you're talking about. And we were talking about a lot of like substantive things. So really, I think 2 or 3 months into knowing Bobby, I was telling him things I hadn't told anybody. And I was like, look, I don't know what our relationship is supposed to be in the future, but what I do know is that I have so much trust for you. I feel like I can really trust you so much. And so I felt like I could tell him about a lot of things about myself that I hadn't shared with anybody else up until that point. So it was really, in a really interesting way, I feel like we built trust really quickly. Okay. But I think it's because we talked so much and it seemed so natural to share with each other that way.
Now, just looking at you two, it's Daphne, you are a talker. Bobby, you don't seem like such a talker, or maybe just on the show. So I'm just trying to figure out the whole communication. How does that work then, if talking is super important?
Yeah, so again, that was a development over time in our marriage. When we first got married, we would be eating together, and Daphne would ask me a question, and I would give like a one-word answer, and I just kind of was comfortable doing that. It took some time for me to actually. It was a lot of work, because I just wasn't used to having those types of kind of lengthier conversations, which is kind of weird. But I do communicate. I can be a little bit succinct, I guess, sometimes with my communication. But I do talk a lot more now.
Okay.
So that has been a big area of growth for me in a marriage. But yeah, I can hold my own with Daphne too sometimes. We talk. Don't let my silence fool you.
And an interesting point that I laughed about a lot our first year of marriage, which I call our freshman year of marriage. Our freshman year, a lot of people at church would be like, well, Bobby's so quiet and just so, energized. Bobby is actually extroverted and I am introverted. When I see people at the store that I know, I'd be like, Bobby, I know that person. Let me try to go the other way. I was like, why don't you just say hi? And I'm like, I don't want to talk to so you would never know because I have Facebook Lives. I'm a speaker. I do all these things. Yeah. But I actually like to just read a book. Yeah. I like coloring now, adult books. I like just spending time and just thinking. And I was gonna go hiking in Georgia that by myself, and I was excited about that. But Bobby actually, especially our freshman year, super playful, always joking, always playing, always trying to make me laugh. And you could see like me doing it now. But he likes on his birthday to be surrounded by people that he really cares about. He actually likes interacting with people. Mm-hmm. And if he's talking about something he's passionate about, he can, really be talking a lot about it. And that's why we were able to have all those conversations. Okay. But what he's talking about is, it can be challenging to get used to somebody always in your space when you're married. They always in your space. And then me too. And then they're like, this is me. I'm happy in the morning too. So I'm like, good morning. How are you? How was your day so far? Did you enjoy the gym? Every day I ask them. So within our first few weeks of marriage, he was like, every day you ask me the same question after the gym. So I'm like, how is the gym? It's like, you asked me the same question again. I was like, Bobby, what else can I ask you? I don't know what else to ask you. But anyway, so yeah, we did have to get used to being around each other because I think even for him, he had quiet time to recharge, then go out and talk to his friends. Whereas with marriage, we had to figure out what that quiet time looked like for both of us.
Yeah. So you're 6 years in, and what would you say? I know you talked about jealousy is one thing, and then, communication is huge, and then giving each other space. But what would you say was a really big challenge? If you're comfortable sharing, I think what I like to do is have our guests, of course, be authentic, but your story can help someone else. So if you're comfortable in sharing, what would you say was one of the biggest hurdles you guys had to get over?
I don't know if we both give the same answer, but I would say for me, I'll try to speak a little bit personally. My personal struggle was recognizing that I don't have control over everything. And what I mean by that is there were some things that were revealed when we got married that I wasn't aware of, because there's just, substitute for living with, spouse every day, day in and day out. And there was just some things that I really struggled with, the jealousy being one of them. And it wasn't something I could just snap my finger and make go away. And, Daphne had to deal with some of those struggles, on a firsthand basis. It was just a lot of humbling, I just, I had to be in a lot of prayer because I wanted to control it. I just wanted to control certain aspects of who I was that wasn't good. And I couldn't, I had to trust God to help me through all of those things and not think that I can do it on my own. We like to just figure things out on our own and not have to get help. It's not a good approach to life or marriage for that matter. So that was my personal struggles and dealing with those and seeing them just so vividly, just come out.
Wow.
Was a big thing for me.
Yeah. Marriage is great, but like you were just saying, you start to see stuff in you that you're like, wait a minute, what? What now?
Yeah.
That's me, that kind of thing. So thank you for sharing that. How about you, Daphne?
So I would say kind of the opposite, where for me, I was raised to be very submissive. So if you pair a very submissive person with someone who may be a tad bit controlling, what you get is, and I was just talking about this yesterday, I was asking for permission for everything. So I was like, is it okay if I, eat a snack before we go to so-and-so's house? Or hey, is it okay if we, like, stuff that I didn't know sounded really bad until our pastor's wife was on a call, and I was like, hey, Bobby, is it okay if I, step away for a moment? Or Bobby, is it okay? She was like, you just tell him what you're going to do. And that's it. Like, you don't have to ask for this. And she was like, right, Bobby, you don't mind. Because I think what happened was I was kind of training him subconsciously for me to ask about, because like, I don't think he was that controlling where he was like, you got to ask me permission to go get a snack. But if I went to go get a snack, he'd be like, why are you getting a snack? And we're about to eat. We're about to go out to eat. And I was like, because I'm hungry. And then we're done. But so the pastor's wife was like, you just say, I'm going to get a snack because I'm hungry, okay? And then you just get your snack. Wow. So I had to learn how to do that balance. And then I had to learn how to make it not me being controlling, but say, I'm going to get the snack, okay? Not, so there's like a middle ground. The reason why that's so important is because having kids, Bobby and I went to a marriage group. We didn't have kids at that time. We weren't pregnant. And a lot of the people in the marriage group, and this is a Christian group, were saying that when kids came, they were the closest they'd ever been to divorce, or their marriage was in a really bad place. Bobby and I were like, I mean, it's kids though. In the movies, when people have kids, everybody happy. Everybody good. Like, what's going on with the kids? So
yeah, the baby comes out and it's not crying.
Everybody's like chilling. Everybody happy. Yeah. So we were trying to figure out what it was. And I think what we discovered through asking questions and then through our own experiences, the logistics of managing the lives of children. It's the first time in marriage where you have to come to an agreement about how you're going to do something. You can still be somewhat independent in marriage until the kids come. And then it's like, I'm tired of breastfeeding these kids. And the husband's like, no, you got to do it because it's right. And I'm like, I'm in pain. And he's like, no. And then we like, who's going to get this child who's crying? It's 3 a.m. Right. And he's like, I'm tired. And I'm like, I'm tired too. So I had to learn, oh my gosh, I had to figure out how to not feel like a martyr and not feel like, well, I guess I just have to do it. I guess it's just me. I'll just take the pain or push through it. I had to be like, Bobby, I need you to wake up and help me because I'm struggling right now. Yeah. And for me, that was hard because I was so submissive. Right. And I'm naturally very positive. So you can't really tell when I'm super, super stressed until I'm like, Bobby, I'm about to break down right now. You know what I mean? I had to say to him, and his face would be like, oh, well, what? It's that big of a deal. And I'm like, yes, it's really bad right now, okay? So I had to learn how to communicate because I was too submissive. So so I think that was something that I had to work through. Still being a wife who allows my husband to lead, but at the same time figuring out when I could just be like, I'm gonna go drop this in the mail versus, can I go drop this in the mail? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
and by the way, I didn't ask her to ask me a lot of those things.
Right.
She just kind of did it on her own.
Right.
I'm so glad you said that because that's definitely me all day, Daphne. Like I'm the same way.
Okay.
And even like you say, even breaking down and everything, I'll be smiling like I'm gonna pass out any moment now.
We gotta speak up. I had to learn how to speak up. But
yeah. Wow. So you guys have kids then? How many?
2, 1 2-year-old and 1 5-year-old.
Oh my. Okay. And you're right. Children changes things. That's putting it mildly. They change things.
That sounded like a profound statement, Betty. I do have a question though, because we're talking a lot about the growth that occurred while you were married. So what I was wondering is, what was it before you got married that made you both say, that's my wife, that's my husband? Because a lot of like really important things happened after. So yeah.
That's a good question. I mean, there wasn't anything in particular. You know, I did, you know, I wanted to, one of the things that was very important, you know, was, you know, what will be considered a deal breaker was, you know, she needed to be a Christian because I'm a Christian. So that was a non-negotiable. But for the most part, you know, I really loved her spunk, you know, her energy, you know. Obviously sometimes it, you know, just like you said, when you observe this kind of over here side by side, you know, she seems to be more outgoing and all that stuff. So that was really good. And then her, you know, her glass is usually half full. Mine can be a little bit on the half empty side type of thing. So, you know, there's a little bit of that opposites attract kind of thing. But one thing I heard from a minister years ago that stuck with me is that marriage is not what we think it is a lot of times. I think what marriage is you saying, I'm going to commit my life to this person for the rest of my life, right? So it's not about, you know, whether or not you like her personality, because all these things can change. You know, we've both changed in certain ways, even in the 6 years, over the course of 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever, however many years, things happen, people get sick, there's all kinds of things that go on. Are you committed to that person for the rest of their lives, no matter what happens? You know, and it's just kind of having that attitude going into it is what really matters. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about this, you know, and it was kind of an eye opener for him because, you know, he had, and I had it too. I had my list. Like I had a list of like, you know, she got to be this, she got to be that, she got to be that. You know, we got to look at some of those things as bonuses and not necessarily, you know, this is a determining factor if I'm going to marry this person. So that's kind of my thought with.
I like that. Some of these things are bonuses. I like that.
Right.
Okay. I like that. Anyway, fantastic. So we'll take a short break and then we come back. If you guys would be ready to give us some tips that we can use in our relationships too, that will help us to propel ourselves forward. So we'll be back in a moment.
Now, a delicious word. Let's chew.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Roxanne, and today we are making seafood gumbo. Yay! I'm excited about this because I finally got some confidence to make it after a short trip to New Orleans and sitting in a demonstration. So I'm going to let you know what I did, a little bit of mixture of different recipes as I always do. And I hope it works out as successfully for you as it did for me. So I'm going to start by putting together my vegetables. I'm using onion, celery, and green pepper. And so the rule of thumb I use is if you're going to use about 2 cups of onions, then you'll use 1 cup of celery and then a half a cup of green pepper. So it kind of cut it down that way. And it worked out well. So you're just using half of each thing. And so I got started by cutting those things up, setting them aside so they're ready when we start cooking. And then I went ahead and cooked my sausage, and I just cut those up in little slices, cooked them in a pan, and then drained them, and then set those aside as well. And then once I'm done with my sausage, then I'm going to now focus on my roux. And so I'm basically going to make a roux by putting together a cup of vegetable oil to a cup of flour. And so once you mix those two together, you're going to be stirring that constantly. I use about a medium heat. So you stir it constantly so that it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan, so you're not burning it. And you can kind of gauge to see if it's cooking too quickly for you, because again, you don't want to burn it. So I kind of went in between a little bit of the medium heat and the medium low. And so you're stirring that constantly. It took me about 20 minutes to get a nice brown color, because you notice it'll go from a light color to it'll get darker brown as you cook it. So I did mine for about 15-20 minutes. And once that's done, then I add my onion, green pepper, and celery to that and mix that in. And I'm now going to treat this as the flavor basis for my gumbo. So I'm going to add all my seasoning to this mixture. I've added my salt and pepper. I'm adding cayenne pepper. I'm adding some dried garlic. I'm also adding a couple of bay leaves to this mixture as well. I'm stirring that right in and letting that all cook until my onions are translucent. Once my onions are translucent, I now can prepare to make the big pot of gumbo. So I'm going to do that by adding my seafood broth that I've gotten. And what I did was added half seafood broth. I mashed it with some water just to get the consistency I wanted. You may not have to do that depending on how much roux and etc. you make. And you also can use chicken broth as well. I just prefer the seafood broth. And so once you add that in, you stir it in slowly. You're mixing that all together. You bring it to a boil, and then turn it down to low, and let that simmer for about a half an hour or so. So I let mine simmer for about 35-40 minutes, and go back. And I'm gonna now do a taste test to see if I need to add any more seasoning, because at this point, this is my gumbo. This is what it's gonna taste like. And I just do a little taste and see if I need to add any more salt, any more other seasoning. So for me, I like a little kick, so I added a little more cayenne pepper, a little more regular pepper, and then I was ready to go. And then I'm just now going to throw in my sausage that I've already cooked, and I'm going to throw in my shrimp that I had prepared that's already peeled. And so once you throw those in, you don't really need to cook that gumbo anymore, because the sausage is already cooked, and then also the shrimp is you'll see it'll plump right up and cook at that temperature that the gumbo is already at. And you can go ahead and cut that off now, and I would just cover it up give it about 5 minutes or so for those things to mix together and for that shrimp to plump up, and then you're ready to serve. Me personally, I prefer to eat stuff like this the next day, so it has a chance to sit and, all those flavors have a chance to congregate and mix in well. But feel free to give it a try and let me know what you think. All right, until next time. Welcome back. We are talking with Daphne and Bobby, and they have been giving us the best advice. One of the things that just stuck out to me from the last segment was when we asked what was the toughest thing to get over for you guys, and Bobby said, well, it's probably a different answer for both of us. And I thought that was really interesting, because it just highlights how you can be in the same relationship and having different experiences. And so I want to thank you guys. I could literally talk to you guys all day about your relationship, but we can't. So we're going to get to three pieces of advice that you would give our audience to improve their relationship, make it better, make it last, etc., etc.
Okay, so I will start with three things. So the first one is only allow people in your relationship who are team you and your significant other. That is advice that we received from a number of people, but someone when I was an undergrad, she came to me and told me that when I was dating, she said that her marriage ended in divorce because she brought too many of her family and friends into the challenges that were going on in her relationship. When she had let those things go, they had held on to it, and they made her relationship fall apart. Wow. So our pastor and his wife told us similarly, you only tell people things that you're looking for advice for if they're team both of you, and you only have a few people, could be 1, 2, especially when you're married, that you go to for advice, if you have anyone at all, just 1 or 2, or therapist if you choose to pursue therapy. So I think that's the first thing. Only team you and your significant other people get to have any say and hearing about your relationship. The second thing I would say is mindset. So there are times when, as a woman, I have hormones and things like that. I was pregnant. There are times when I might not be having the best day. And so I might be more quieter, or there might be something just doesn't, something feels a little off or something. And Bobby has to be gentle with me in that time. Like, babe, are you okay? You sure? Yesterday he said, is there anything that you want to tell me? And I was like, no, I'm good. It's like, okay. So, but I have to make sure that I'm working on my mindset and my emotional health to make sure that I show up in a good place for my husband and for my children. And then Bobby, also has to be working on himself outside of me to make sure that he can come to me and the kids and his whole life in a good place. He does meditation, prayer, all these things in the morning to be able to do that. And there are things that I do as well. So mindset. take care of your mindsets, your mind and your heart would be the second one. And the third thing would be love languages. Know your significant other's love language. So there are different love languages. I may not get them all: financial gifts, quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation, physical touch. And if you can learn more, five love languages, .com, I think, and take a quiz. So you may be giving to your significant other in a way that they don't receive it. Maybe you're always giving them hugs, but they just want you to say, you're beautiful, or you're handsome, or thank you so much, or I appreciate you. And getting that wrong, not speaking to them in a certain way, or not spending time or whatever, can break your marriage apart, or your even dating relationship apart. So I think being aware of love languages is also something that I think is really important. And giving to your partner in the way they want to be given to, even if you're like, I don't like hugging, I don't want to touch you, which happens in marriage. People like, can you get off me? Like, so you gotta adjust if you want to make sure that you're showing that person love in the way they receive it. So love languages, your mindset, and people who are team you and team your significant other would be 3 different tips that I have.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd say, one thing that's important is, I think making sure you try to be intentional about not being on an island in your marriage. I think a lot of couples, sometimes they're too embarrassed, or maybe they just haven't formed those relationships with other couples. I was when we first got married, I was in a congregation that was mostly older couples that have been married 30, 40, 50 plus years. And we endeavored to really talk with a lot of them about just all different types of things, and the advice they gave was nothing like what you would find on, TV or social media. It was really sound advice on maintaining strong, lasting relationships. And I think a lot of what was said was, it was really, we hear a lot about, the wife, and it's not to say anything bad about wives, but I think the husband, as someone who's supposed to be leading, is supposed to be leading by example. And I think a lot of times failed marriages because of that. The husband is kind of just, not fulfilling his duty in leading by example. So anyway, sorry, I think I got a rabbit trail there. So, reaching out to other couples, even if it's embarrassing, we're meant to live in community. We're not meant to just be by ourselves struggling through our issues. Obviously you need to have people you trust. You don't want to just go blabbering anything to anyone. The other thing I would say is giving your spouse the benefit of the doubt as much as you can. I think that, it's so easy to jump to conclusions and, think that, I think I was reading a book the other day on marriage, and it was saying, assume that you're both, more or less goodwill people, or trying to be goodwill people seeking to love each other. Don't assume because they said something that may have hurt you that was their plan. They just wanted to just, stick it in your wound, or whatever the case may be. Just give the benefit of that. And that's still a struggle for me. I can, jump to conclusions sometimes with certain things. But I think that's important. And and third, and this is probably the most important thing, is just like a lot of prayer, like a lot of dependence on God, and not trying to, God's ways are not our ways. And we're always trying to think that things are supposed to happen a certain way, the way we see fit. We see something, and I know for a fact that Daphne sees things in me that need to change that I don't see. Maybe she's not comfortable bringing it to my attention. And I would say the same thing myself with her. It could be the same type of situation. And that's where prayer comes in. We wrestle with God. We pray for our spouse so that we see the fruit of those changes happening, so that they grow. We don't have to nag them or beat them up about their issues necessarily. Obviously if there's immediate things that's really bad, that's one thing, but marriage is a slow work. It's just, I heard somebody say that. I heard a few people say this. You get in a good groove after 10 years, about 10 years of marriage, if you're moving in the right direction. And in my mind, I'm like, come on, 10 years, after like 6 months, everything should be great. And that's just, so, but yeah, it's a slow work. And I see it, anytime I take time to just stop and reflect on, and Daphne's very good at helping me do this. Look at the progress of the changes in my life as a person. I see that slow work happen over the course of, the years we've been married. And you don't even notice it a lot of times.
Yeah. That is fantastic. Good. Thank you, both of you guys, for your openness. And marriage is hard, but it's also great. There are, like I think what you're saying, if you could just stick it out, in the hard times, because your whole life is not going to be hard. I mean, you're going to have good times, you're going to have hard times. And, I think you guys have built on a really good foundation. I work with some ladies who were from India, and Indians. And they would always say that you Americans, y'all give up too quick. You go through a bump in your marriage and then you throw it away. And those ladies taught me that, you go through the difficult times and you get through them, and then it's good on the other side. But people don't oftentimes stick it out. So I'm glad that you guys are, even in the tough times and through all the children and all that. I mean, I can attest, it's 32 years for us, and we've had some tough times. We've had some bumpy roads. COVID was a bumpy road going through all of that. But if you can hang in there, and I think one of the things you said too, Bobby, praying is huge, just praying and asking God to give you wisdom, clarity of thought, grace, mercy for each other, then you can do things. So
absolutely.
Really, really good. So, well, that was fantastic. Can you tell us where we can keep up with you? What are your socials, your handles, and all that?
Well, so I'm a business owner. I am a coach, speaker, and trainer with Daphne Valcin Coaching. So some of my handles, I say that because my handles are business oriented. But on Facebook, I am facebook.com/Daphne Valcin Coaching. On Instagram, Daphne Valcin is my handle. And LinkedIn, you can find me with my name, Daphne Valcin, as well.
And we'll put all that in the show notes. How about you, Bobby?
Yeah, that's all right. I've been called Booby, Barbie, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it's pretty much Bobby Valcin on everything: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I have a website for my business, Fast Home Buyers Direct. I help distressed homeowners sell their homes quickly in mostly Palm Beach County, but some other areas too in Florida.
Okay.
So yeah.
Nice.
And I just want to do a quick plug because I did do coaching with Daphne. And I just wanted to say, as a quick review, it's wonderful. If anybody's thinking about it, let me just do my quick plug. I just want to let everybody know, because you probably wouldn't know if I didn't say this. I did actually go to Daphne for coaching. And just want to let everybody know that it's wonderful. So please do feel free to reach out to her, because it is a great experience and very encouraging, very enlightening. And it's, I don't know how to say it, but that spark is a real thing that Bobby mentioned. So it kind of lights a little fire under you to get things going. So just wanted to put that out there as a real person doing a real review.
How much I appreciate it.
Yeah, sure.
Roxy, you want to tell people where they can find us?
Oh, yes, for us. Okay, cool. So follow us too. So so if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Also click the bell if you want to be notified when we have new videos coming up. Wherever the bell is and the subscription button is, I'm just going to point in all directions because And then if you also want to follow us on Facebook and on Instagram, we're at Chat and Chew Show. Just at Chat and Chew Show. And other than that, just comment, like, subscribe, and let us know if you have topics you want us to talk about. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. See you next
All
time.
right.
This episode is brought to you by the Chat and Chew Company. Host Betty Jones, co-host Roxanne Brew, producer Vanessa Outland, and music by Elwood Jones.